Welcome back, Gundam guys and Gundam gals. PatrickGrade here from GGInfiniteNews.com. And it's about time to go ahead and wrap up the review for the MG Gundam Heavy Arms. So let's go ahead and load them up with all the weapons, get a couple different poses out of them, and give you my overall opinion, and see how this MG turned out. So here we go. So in case you're curious, the Heavy Arms does come with the typical loadout for manipulators for a MG Gundam Wing Kit. You get 4 full sets of fingers to swap out on the 2 palms. And you also have the attachment point for the action base if you choose to use it. Alright, so to get them all armed up, let's start with the backpack. Attach the ammo tank to the right hand side flip down arm. And then plug in the ammo belt to the tank. Now again, remember, these connections at the end, the ones that hold all these little segments in place, aren't all that secure by itself. So you might want to put a little of thin cement in between the two to lock them in place a little better. Just make sure to do that after you have everything painted or fixed like you want it to, because it could be hard to get it back apart after you apply the thin cement. So just keep that in mind. It may be an extra precaution you have to take. Otherwise, you might have segments flying all over the place. So with the canister attached and the ammo belt, plug in the backpack. So it's a little tricky to get the Gatling gun in hand here. You can see on the handle, one side is thinner than the other. Or hopefully you can see it. The inside side of the handle is a little bit thinner. And on the proper hand for the left hand, the peg in here is supposed to create friction between the outside and the inside. So there's no slot to peg it into place. You're putting it around the handle to create some friction to hold it in place there. So it's a little hard to get it lined up and properly seated, at least for me. And I discovered it's a little bit easier to do it when it's attached to the palm of the hand. That way you can get a little more grip onto it. So when you get it in there right, you can see that the hand holds up the weight really well by itself. All the weight supported by the fingers there. And it hasn't fallen apart yet, so that seems to be a good sign. We'll see how much the elbow and shoulder can hold it up though. And then after fiddling around with getting the hand attached back to the arm without knocking the handle out of place, here is the Gatling gun firmly in hand. So I did cheat a little bit to get everything lined up here. I took a couple extra segments out of the end of this just to give the end a little more room to bend around without having to fight with the segments. And I think Bandai either was really clever or has some dumb luck here. The strength of the band, the black rubber inside here, really helps to support the weight of the Gatling gun in hand. So before the belt got in place, the elbow joint wasn't quite enough to support the weight of the Gatling gun. But with this in place and the extra tension that the band provides, it does help support the weight of the Gatling gun up in the air without having to rest it against the waist or anything. So that's either, like I said, either really clever or extremely dumb luck. But so that's pretty cool. It is difficult to get it pointing straight forward. I'm really nervous about knocking it out of hand because it's a real pain in the butt to get it back in the hand properly. That's pretty much 90 degrees out, so that's not too bad. And you could probably get the arm to reach across and somewhat hold on to the secondary handle there if you wanted to. But it seems like you'd have to have the gun pushed back a lot further, more tucked under the armpit than it is now. And I don't want to fiddle with it too much and frustrate myself by knocking everything out of place. So I'll leave it like that for now. So a couple more things. You can attach the knife to the other forearm and have it deployed like that, or you can bend it up in storage mode. But as you can see, the blade's too long and it interferes with the shoulder here, so you can't collapse it all the way down unless you do that. Bend the elbow and put it back like that. But overall, the knife doesn't look all that great on the wrist. It's kind of cool, I guess. I think it would have been better if it's coming out of the hand slot like Optimus Prime with his Energon battle axe or swords from the movies. So overall, it's not the best thing in the world, but it is an option there if you wanted to take advantage of it. Now, like I said earlier, if you wanted to, you could slot the shield into place here on the edge of the Gatling gun, either that way or opposite way. And as you can see, the Heavy Arms supports the weight of the Gatling gun, both the backpack and the gun itself, pretty well on its own. Even without being on an action base, it can stand up straight pretty well. But you will start to see it sag forward a little bit if it kind of gets off-center. And of course, don't forget to add the missile packs to either leg. And to do so, just simply peg it into place on the outside of the leg. And that gives the legs a little more bulky feeling, of course. And it's cool to see some lower limb weapons. Alright, so with all the weapons in place, all the hatches open, everything loaded for bear here, you get a really impressive visual. It's quite nice to see all this stuff working together, staying in place, not falling off. And again, the ammo belt helps support the weight of the Gatling gun in hand. All the doors open up just fine and stay in place, nothing really falls off. It's just a very solid construction for a lower price master grade. It can stand up pretty well on its own. Really great too that the missiles are very easy to paint if you wanted to custom color the missile heads. They're separate from the rest of the plastic, so that's really nice. Again, just an all-around great kit for the lower price point. And even though it's not all that flexible or articulate, or there's nothing all that fancy going on as far as inner frame, but it more than makes up for it just in stability and overall anime accuracy and construction quality. So very nice job. And if you wanted to give his arm a rest, you can also attach the Gatling gun to the backpack. Just swivel down the attachment arm here, and then line up the two pegs on the bottom of the Gatling gun to the inside of the arm, and snap them securely into place, and the gun stays on there really well, and the arm can hold it just fine. And the difficult part is lining up the ammo belt to get them to fit into both the canister and the Gatling gun. Because the attachment point here is on the outside, you got to go around and twist and bend up. And because I left off the two extra segments, it seems to work a little better. But otherwise, it's really difficult to get this to bend into shape to fit over there. So just be aware that you might have to do a little rearranging of your own to get that to work properly. And again, you can plug the shield into the side of the Gatling gun to store it in the backpack. And surprisingly, even with all the weight on the backpack, you only need to bend the knees just a little bit to get it to stand up somewhat straight. Now you may be asking yourself, hey Heavy Arms, why you no beam saber? But he does have one last trick literally up his sleeve. This hidden beam saber that is stored in his arm cavity in the anime. Now this is a pretty cool little effect and very anime accurate, of course, but I don't know if it's pulled off in the right way. You literally have to remove the arm and disassemble it down to its major components and take off the lower arm and reattach this extra plastic here. And while it does look cool, I don't know if it's a huge selling point. It's just a neat little trick that I think could have been implemented a little bit better. The major thing from keeping this hidden inside is this wire coming off. And it seems like it would have been smarter for Bandai just to make this detachable and have this assembly go inside the normal forearm cavity, besides having to pull everything off, undo the lower arm. But it works nicely. It's just a little fiddly to get it all back in place. And I thought by looking at the pictures that it would be just uncover it by taking off the lower forearm. But I guess that was a little difficult to pull off. But for the effect, it's really nice. The beam saber holds in there really well. And you can reach across to grab a hold of it, sort of. You have to kind of move stuff around there. But there is no beam saber blade included, so you have to steal one from one of your other master grades. So overall, it's a very accurate gimmick. I think it could have been done a little bit better, but definitely not a deal breaker or anything. So there you go. Alright, let's go ahead and wrap up this review and talk about a few of the negative points and the many good qualities of this kit so far. So while there are no glaring issues as far as balance or weight issues or fiddly parts, there are a couple minor issues with the accessories, especially the secondary ones like the shield, the knife, and the hidden beam saber. They all work like they're supposed to. They stay in place, they look pretty decent. But for Master Grade, they're a little light on pieces and complexity, especially the shield. It just has the one inner frame piece and then the outside red part. But of course that has a lot to do with the overall design of the shield in the anime too. So it's not all that fancy when compared to like the Gundam Mark II or some of the Seed shields. So it's not a huge deal, especially at the price point for this Master Grade. It's more than acceptable to have a couple lesser complex pieces. The same issue with the knife, I guess. Again, it works fine. It looks pretty decent. It would have been nicer if the blade was a different color than the base that attaches to the forearm. But for what it is, it's fine. It's not a major selling point of the kit anyway, so you could take it or leave it. The last thing with the hidden beam saber arm, I wish they would have done a little better with that. Make it a little easier to pull that effect off. So if you don't mind part swapping, it's fine. But to have to disassemble the lower arm and put it back together is a little tedious. Again, not a huge deal, and at the price point for this kit, it's acceptable. And again, these are all minor quibbles, and they don't reflect the quality of the kit otherwise. So you can either take them or leave them, and just disregard these negative points. For a lower price Master Grade, these kind of things are acceptable. And one last issue that I had was with the ammo belt. The caps on either side, they tend to fall off kind of easily, especially with the amount of twist and turning these things do. But just be aware that you could have some frustrating times with the inner band being unhinged from the end caps, which can cause a mess if you're unlucky. But that's it for the bad stuff as far as I'm concerned. Moving on to the good stuff, everything else about this kit is pretty fantastic, especially for the price point. So you're not dealing with a super high priced kit, $50 or less probably, depending on where you get it. The colors are very nice, even though I wasn't a huge fan originally of the orange and red. I really like it on this kit. It looks nice. It's different from other typical Gundam color schemes, and it works really well. I was also concerned with all the opening parts, the hatches on the shoulders and the chest and the side skirts, but they work really well. They're not loose, they don't flop open. And aside from the front shoulder hatches, nothing really falls off without too much disturbance. So everything works really well in that area. And I was happy to see how well the Gatling gun can be held in different positions. Both the extra grip on the hands and the extra support provided by the ammo belt really goes a long way to make the Gatling gun very posable, more so than I thought it would be originally. But it is a little frustrating at first to learn how to work with everything to make it work right. So just have some patience when you're first posing with the Gatling gun, because there are some nice posing opportunities there if you're able to work with what you got and learn how everything works together. So take your time and give it a shot. And as far as posing goes, it's very sturdy on the ground. You can use the attachment point to put it up on action base if you really wanted to. I don't think it needs to be on action base very much, though the balance is really good with the backpack and then the Gatling gun on the opposite side. So it will tip over if you get it off center, but there are plenty of good poses you can get out of it without having to worry about balance issues all that much. So all around a very good kit to pose and to play with, and it's not very fiddly. There are no armor pieces that fall off or anything, so it's really fun just to pick up and play with, as opposed to some of the other Master Grades that are more finicky and have more issues with pieces falling off. So all in all, a very great kit to play with and to have on your shelf. And aside from a few minor quibbles with the lackluster accessories outside of the Gatling gun, I see no reason not to get this kit at all. If you're a fan of the Gundam Wing series, if you're looking for lower priced Master Grades, whatever, this is a great kit to get. So definitely pick it up if you have the time to build it. Take a weekend or so to put it together, and you'll enjoy it for a long time. So check out the link below in the info section to pick up your own kit from ggInfinite.com. Give me a like down below if you like my reviews. Tell me what you think about them with a comment. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.